Hey guys, I'm Go Veer Go Home. I'd like to welcome you back to my layout. This time we're going to do a bit of a how-to. I'm going to show you, I'm going to finally show you how I do my rock work from start to finish. I've got another section of my layout here where there's going to be a whole rock face. So come along, I'll show you what I do, how I do it, and we'll get it done. Okay, so as promised, I am going to show you how I do my rock faces here. Very cheap, very affordable, easy to do. I guess easy for me, anyways. So that's kind of what it's going to look like. Well, that you know, not exactly like that because I'm going to do it over here. So basically, so far, what I did was I took the plaster cloth. I made my mounds and whatnot. Right along here. Okay, so this is where I potentially am going to have some rock faces. You can see I painted the whole thing brown, and then I have some plaster already just lightly coated on there. Those are going to be where I'm going to do the potential rock faces, or where it's going to have the style of rock, I guess you could say. I'm going to add a bit more to this side here, so it's more, more of a rock face down this way, but like still, just kind of blending it in so it goes to the hill here, and then some slight rock on the side here. So I got my all-purpose sheetrock. This comes pre-mixed. Basically, this was $8 at the Home Depot, and you get a huge tub of it. So it's actually 2 liters. Got my trusty spatula. And what I'm going to do here first, I'm going to take large scoops of it and put it on the certain areas in a thick kind of, fashion, so that when it dries, I can kind of scrape away the extra and then kind of shape it. So it's kind of like taking clay, like a molding clay, putting it there, and then just shaping it to whatever. You'll notice I taped down my track so that I do not get any plaster on it. And we'll just kind of take this as it goes here. So take a scoop of it and just kind of put it on. Now, this usually takes a while for it to actually dry. So what I'm doing this before I go to work. I still have like about an hour or so before I have to leave my house to go to work. So that's why I'm doing this now. Because when I come home tonight, which I usually get home roughly at about midnight exactly, it'll be ready for me to kind of shape, and I'll be able to kind of continue. So making sure it's super thick in certain areas here, and then just kind of obviously blending it in as well. It doesn't really look like much, but as I go along here, this is all I do. I know it's not much. I don't really have much to say about it. I just kind of put it on, and this is, it's what I do. It's worked for me so far, so I don't really have any complaints. It's a heck of a lot cheaper than using the Woodland Scenics stuff. Obviously, because that's like professional grade, where I'm just kind of like doing it myself, so. Okay, so I'll finish this, and then we'll come back when it's a little bit dry. Alright, there you go. Okay, so it's all on there. You can see it's pretty thick. It almost looks like mud. It's okay. Most of that will be scraped off and shaped. I've got a number of tools here. I got this set from Michael's. Comes with a few different ones, like a little scraper, and then like somewhat of a drill bit, and then just a few, you know, nothing too crazy. I think it was like 10 bucks. I got a half price. Got it for like 10 bucks. Went to the dollar store. There's a wire brush here. I got 2 in these in a pack for like $1.50. They make for good scrapers as well, just to give it more of a texture. And also, I shaped this out a bit more. This is just a little hill. It's going to continue this way and this way, but I just want to kind of shape this out for now. But I also put, kind of looks like I iced a cake almost, but I smoothed it out kind of, still leaving it rough in certain areas, but that's going to just be a little hill as we go into the obviously the little scrap yard here. And when I cut the fascia, I'm gonna obviously cut it so it goes, you know, with the contour of the outside there. So I'm looking forward to that. So now that this is dry, let's see what we're gonna do with it. Okay, so it's about 10 hours later. It's, you know, relatively, I mean, like if I was to push in on that, it would probably ruin it. But it also makes it so that, you know, you can just go in and kind of pull off some of this extra stuff here. It's kind of just falls off down to here. I'll probably just vacuum it up later. So there's a couple of different things that we're gonna do here. I'm just gonna obviously rough this up a bit. So using the wire brush, I mean, it's probably better, the more dry the plaster is, the easier this brush is gonna work. So if it's really soft, it's just gonna get stuck in there and it's not really going to do too much, but it's still kind of scraping, so it's okay. And you can see how soft it is, like the whole thing kind of just moves when you scrape a little bit, but it doesn't matter too much. Come back once I get this shaped out a bit more. To do. What you're going to want to do as you're doing this, you want to clean it with a vacuum so that you can see your project a little bit better. But for me, it's late at night, so turning on the noisy vacuum is not really ideal. But I'll clean it up first thing tomorrow morning. When it's a little bit harder, I'll be able to go over it a little bit more, do a little bit more detail to it. Got the one really long rock face right there, and then obviously it gets higher. But it'll look really good when it's all colored in, and do the leopard spotting, and then do the grass over top. It might have taken me about an hour to do this, Okay, so it's time to color the rocks. Here we see my 3 colors that I'll be using. Yellow ochre, burnt umber, and black. We're going to use it in that order, starting with the yellow ochre. Got my little container there. I've got one for each color, and then I've got these sponge brushes that I use. Normally I use something a little bit smaller, like half the size, but it's all I have right now, and I didn't get a chance to go to the dollar store to grab more. But it's a good product, and what I do, I usually do like a 50-50 of that with water in the container. So I'll go ahead and mix it up, and then I'll set up the tripod here so that we can color all this in. Okay, so we're going to be doing the leopard spotting here. We're going to start with the yellow. I already have it mixed up. Just going to get up here because it's a little bit of a reach. So basically you don't want to paint the whole thing with the yellow, you just want to do little areas. You just want to let it run. It doesn't matter if it's dripping or whatever, it's all gonna be covered anyways, so. Okay, now it's time for the burnt umber. This one here you can go a bit more heavier with. You can go right over the yellow. So it's gonna kind of give it that look. I know it's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see how there's it's like a two-tone. There's like a yellowy and then the brown, but that'll darken up as it goes. Also, you can always mix these colors. There's a whole line of them where you can even create your own rock colors. So if you want to add more of a gray scale to it, there's gray, and you can go over it with the gray as well, but I'm keeping it simple here, just doing the basic stuff. So I'm going to finish this, and then I'll come back and we'll do the black ink over top of it. Okay, and for this last part here, we're going to use black ink. This is where I feel like you can be as generous as you want, because this is going to just fill in all the cracks. Now, when I had done this originally, after doing the black ink, I wasn't too happy with it. I was like, oh, you know what? I totally messed up. It looked really shiny, and I really wasn't happy, and I didn't bother filming it. I believe I threw out the actual footage. But once it dries, it actually looks a lot better, because it dulls down, and only where the black is gathered will it actually show up, and that is in the creases and whatnot. So be generous with it, because you can't go wrong here. I'm gonna have a really nice rock face that basically will add to a really nice wall section of your layout. Or maybe you just have some, like a park and you have rocks, or a waterside scene where, you know, it's like a bay or a harbor, and you have rocks coming up or going out to the water there. Now, it might look like I'm working really quickly here, but it's only because it's very mindless. You know, I don't have to think about it. I just put the ink on, and I don't know if you guys can see all this well, but even right now, that'll dull down a lot. It'll look a lot even better once it's dry. But there you go. So that's what it looked like before, with just the two colors, and then just adding the ink over top of it. I feel like this is one of those things where a lot of people would be scared of doing. Not necessarily scared, but like, oh, I don't know if I can do that, you know. Honestly, I felt the exact same way. Because I'm like, should I just buy rock faces, spend the money, and you know, have something that I can just basically paste in here and then just blend it and then just put grass around it. Honestly, I'm glad I took this route, and I'd probably do this on like future layouts, or if somebody said, hey Chris, come do my rock face, because I've had a couple of people ask me, oh, you know, come do that for me. Honestly, you don't need me to do it. I mean, I would do it if you asked me nicely, but it's one of those things where just a little bit of confidence goes a long way. And you know, do your research, you know, watch the videos. That's why I watch everybody else's videos, because I like to see how everybody else does things like this, you know. But so there you go, guys. Once this dries, we're gonna come back and we're gonna do some greenery to it, and we're gonna really make them stand out. Okay, so now that the rock face is dry there, I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna do some turf. I'm gonna have to blend it in with the grass coming in on this side, and then make my way through this. We're gonna attach it using white glue, right? So I'm gonna spread the glue, and we're gonna use a paintbrush to kind of, just brush it out so it's a little bit thinner. And then we use a little bit of isopropyl once we shake on some turf. So I've got the dark green blended turf. I've got the fine turf, which is a little bit more of a browny green, and I've got a mixture of both. So that's another way I kind of blend it. I've got like a 50-50 blend there, and then I have some more blended turf, which has like a little bit of an orangey tinge to it, almost like a dead leaf. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do this here, and we're gonna speed it up, and that way you're only seeing the work and not listening to me talk. Alright, so this is kind of a final shot here. I've got the turf up. I'm going to do some further details, and obviously I'm going to need some ballast on these tracks here. But I just kind of wanted to show you how the rock work turned out. After getting all the ballast on there, or not the ballast, but the flock, the green turf and whatnot, you want to go over and you want to seal it with a 50-50 water and glue. Just to kind of seal everything in there. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and I did this in like literally just an afternoon, except for like the whole carving of the rocks. That takes a little bit longer, but turfing and coloring it just takes an afternoon, and there's not even really that much there to it. There you go. So I just wanted to take a couple of minutes here to show you this this cool little tool that I had picked up a while ago. I've used it on previous parts of my layout here, but I never got around to showing you. So this is just a ballast spreader, and it's from Bachman. Got it from Otter Valley. I think it was only about 15 bucks. It's made of plastic. What I do basically, I do a 50-50 blend of medium and fine ballast, and then I pour it in the top here, just to the top. You sit it on the rails. There's grooves on the bottom for HO scale track. There's I think they sell a separate one for N scale, but basically, yeah, you fill it up and then you push it along here, and I just kind of give it one of these. It's really hard to listen to with that sound, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's very 50-50. As you can see, it's not really coming out on one side, but it's coming out in the middle just fine. Now, it's this or like the spoon idea, basically, where you just go along with a spoon. I find it convenient, but at the same time it kind of sucks as well. It's not the best tool for this, but it's still a tool. So I just like trying different things out, and then obviously you just go along and with your little brush and push the ballast. For the most part, it does it, fairly evenly, but I don't know. We'll see if there's any better tools out there, maybe in the future. Even if I've got to spend a little bit more. It's less than 20 bucks, so I didn't really care. Well, that wasn't too bad, eh? Well, got it all done. Time to move on to the next step, whatever that is. But we'll keep plugging away, and we'll get more done sooner than later, hopefully. And stay tuned for another product review, layout update, whatever else I can come up with. But I want to thank you again for stopping by. I'm go VR, go home, but I've got a train to catch. Well, that wasn't too bad, eh? Well, got it all done. Time to move on to the next step, whatever that is. But we'll keep plugging away, and we'll get more done sooner than later, hopefully. And stay tuned for another product review, layout update, whatever else I can come up with. But I want to thank you again for stopping by. I'm go VR, go home, but I've got a train to catch.